Alexander Knight, the billionaire whose name made stock markets tremble, entered his penthouse like a king returning to a palace he never wanted to live in, his sharp jaw set in stone, mind cluttered with business victories yet heart empty as a locked vault. And there she was again, his contract wife Amelia, quiet as moonlight near the tall glass windows, dressed simply, eyes lowered, always keeping the respectful distance the contract demanded, because their marriage was only ink and signatures, a deal to merge companies and silence rumors about his cold-hearted lifestyle, a transaction where love had no space. Yet whenever he looked at her, something stirred in him that he stubbornly buried beneath the weight of pride. He convinced himself she was just a responsibility he had purchased, a token wife for society's approval, unaware that Amelia's heart beat for him and only him, even before the contract, back when she admired him from a distance, believing he was a hero carved from ambition and honor, not knowing that his success had built walls so tall his own soul was trapped behind them, and deep inside, every time she spoke with that soft, trembling voice, Alexander felt the urge to reach for her hand, to ask why her eyes always shimmered like they held unspoken stories. Yet he pushed that desire aside, buried it under cold remarks and distant behavior, living in denial that she, this gentle woman he barely acknowledged, could ever matter to him more than the empire he spent years building. Still, Amelia kept trying in small, fragile ways, placing his favorite black coffee beside him before he even asked, leaving lights on when she knew he worked late, placing a blanket near his couch though she never dared to drape it over him. And he secretly noticed everything but pretended not to, because accepting her kindness meant accepting his loneliness, and he had sworn never to rely on anyone again after his mother's betrayal long ago. Yet tonight, when he received a call from his lawyer reminding him that the contract expiration approached, just 1 month left, his heart skipped, a strange panic twisting inside him as if losing Amelia would cost him something priceless he had not yet named. So he entered the living room with a storm behind his eyes, determined to tell her the marriage would end soon, that they would go their separate ways. But when he saw her delicate fingers tremble while arranging fresh flowers in the vase, he hesitated, words lodged in his throat like he was choking on his own fears, while Amelia sensed the coldness returning to the air and braced herself for heartbreak once again, whispering a timid, "Welcome home," that felt like a prayer carried on the wind. Alexander moved closer, struggling to maintain his usual stoic mask, asking if she was happy living here, and Amelia, startled by the sudden attention, forced a smile and replied that happiness was irrelevant. They both knew the terms of this arrangement, though her voice cracked on the last syllable, exposing the love she tried to cage inside her chest, a love he pretended not to hear. He clenched his fists, annoyed at how guilty he suddenly felt, annoyed at himself for feeling anything at all, until curiosity stabbed him without warning, and he blurted out a question he never intended to ask. Whether she had ever been with anyone else before him, whether she had loved someone or shared herself with them, a question fueled by jealousy he refused to acknowledge, and Amelia's eyes widened in shock, tears threatening to fall as she answered truthfully, that he was the first man she ever married, ever loved, ever dreamed of in whispered wishes under the night sky. The raw innocence of her voice shattered something deep inside him, and though he masked his reaction with indifference, his pulse pounded like war drums, because he suddenly realized he had mistaken her silence for indifference, when in truth it was devotion so pure that he felt unworthy of it. Yet the moment passed all too quickly as Alexander turned away, pretending he was unaffected, pretending he was still the heartless businessman, while Amelia stood frozen in the quiet room, silently begging fate to give her one reason to believe he cared. The night refused to end quietly after Amelia's confession, and Alexander found himself pacing the length of his penthouse office like a man hunted by his own conscience, replaying her trembling words in his mind, because discovering she had never given her heart or body to anyone else made his chest tighten with a strange cocktail of guilt, protectiveness, and hunger he didn't want to name. He tried drowning the turmoil in whiskey, staring out over the glittering skyline that once made him feel powerful, yet now the city lights mocked him, whispering that he had wasted 2 precious years treating a treasure like a meaningless contract, while Amelia stood alone in their bedroom, wiping away tears and convincing herself that the love story she dreamed of would never bloom, telling her reflection that Alexander would never see her as anything more than a business decision, even though her heart still hoped he might wake up before it was too late. Morning arrived with unkind speed, and Alexander avoided her gaze at breakfast because one look into her gentle eyes nearly shattered his fragile defenses, though Amelia noticed the tension coiling inside him like he was fighting a war no one could see, and that silent chaos made her wonder what truth he was running from. But when his phone rang and his lawyer announced that the divorce papers were ready for his signature, Amelia froze, breath leaving her as if someone stole the air from the room, while Alexander, without thinking, barked, "No," startling both the lawyer and himself, because he didn't know why he said it, only that the idea of letting her go now felt like cutting off a limb. Panic flickered behind Amelia's lashes, yet she masked it with a polite nod and excused herself, unaware that Alexander's heart was cracking open like a locked vault forced by fate. Finally recognizing the preciousness of the woman he had ignored, he watched her disappear down the hallway and something inside him snapped, propelling him toward the safe where he kept the contract, that cursed agreement that defined their distance.